Welcome to Simply Pi Maths.
So in this video, let's learn how to solve equation using Cramer's rule. So at the very first place, to solve equation using Cramer's rule, you should be aware of a concept called as determinant. So what do you mean by determinant, right? So let me just draw two bars like this, okay? And let me put some numbers inside it like 2, 3, 1, 4. If I ask you to solve this determinant, so what you have to do is you have to simply multiply this 4 by this 2 and write it over here. So 4 2s are 8. So I will write 8. Then what you have to do is multiply this number by this number, just like a crisscross. 1 into 3, 3. Wrote it over here. So once both the numbers are written, what you have to do is you have to subtract both of them. Okay. So what is 8 minus 3? It is 5. So this concept is called as determinant. Determinant. Okay. So understanding determinant is very much important. It's not a big deal because it is a very simple concept. Just multiply this number by this number, then multiply this number by this number, and finally subtract both the numbers. And you will get the value of this particular determinant. So if this concept is clear, then probably based on this, we can, solve equations using Cramer's rule. So let's pick up a couple of equations first of all. So let me just take an example like 4x plus 3y minus 4 is equals to 0. And the another equation as 6x equals to 8 minus 5y. The reason why I'm taking this example is because this was one of the questions which was appeared in a board exam of July 2016 Maharashtra board exam. So in Maharashtra board exam of July 2016, this particular question was appeared, and the question was asking the student to solve it using Cramer's rule, the same thing which we are going to discuss now. So simply what you have to do is how to start the solution to solve this using a Cramer's rule. So ultimately understand one thing, using any rule, whether it is a graphical method or a normal simultaneous equation method or Cramer's rule, you have to understand that your ultimate goal is to find the value of x and the value of y. So whenever we say solve any equation, the only expectation is to find the value of x and y. So now depending on whatever rules or methods the examiners asks you, so based on that you have to apply the method. So let's see using Cramer's rule how we can find the value of x and y. So at the very first place, I will just write this equation over here. 4x plus 3y minus 4 is equals to 0. First of all, this is not in a standard form, right? Because when I say standard form, I mean that x and y terms should be over here in the left side and all the numbers should be in the other side, right side. So in order to get it into a standard form, so this is called as a standard form. So in order to get this into a standard form, what I need to do is I need to keep this 4x over here. I need to keep this 3y over here. What I need to do is I need to bring this minus 4 over here. But someone is already standing over here, 0. So when this minus 4 comes over here, it will become plus 4. And what is 0 plus 4? Simply 4. So this is nothing else but 4x plus 3y is equals to 4. So I have an equation ready with me. Let me number it as 1. Now let me pick up the next equation. Again, next equation is also not in a standard form. 6x is equals to 8 minus 5y. 8 minus 5y. Again, what's the problem over here? This y term should be over here in the left side, right? So let me bring it over here. So I will say therefore 6x, I will just bring this minus 5y over here. So it will become plus 5y. And what will remain in the other side? Just 8 alone. Correct? So this looks like a standard form of equation. Let me number it as 2. Sometimes the equation will be already in standard form, so you will not have to do all this work. If at all it is not in a standard form, then you will have to do such work to convert it into a standard form. And then finally you have to start with your sum. So now how to solve this using using Cramer's rule, right? So let us focus on these two equations now. Okay. So by focusing on these two equations, first of all, you have to find the value of d. D for determinant. So now what numbers should you put inside this? That is the first question. So it's simply like if you see a number over here, 4, 3, 6 and 5. These are the 4 numbers that you will have to place over here in the same order. So what I mean is, look at the first equation. Pick up the coefficient of x, write it over here. Pick up the coefficient of y, write it over here beside that. And then pick up the second equation, pick the coefficient of x, write over here, and pick the coefficient of y and write over here. One thing note over here is like, let's say if this plus was minus, let's say if this was a minus sign, then instead of writing 5, I would have written minus 5. So that is one thing that you have to take care of. But luckily in this sum there is no negativity, so no negative signs. That's why all of them are positive. By chance, if this was negative or if this was negative, then instead of writing 3, I would have written minus 3. Instead of writing 5, it was a negative, then I would have written minus 5. Okay. So now let's proceed to the next line. So what to do now? As I said before, multiply this number by this number, it is 20. Multiply this by this, 6 3s are is 18, and simply subtract them. So the answer is 2. Now after that, you have to find value of couple of more things. One is called as dx and the other one is called as dy. So now for simplicity, how I remember this is like, dx means delete x. So if you observe one thing, these two numbers are nothing else but belonging to x. If you see, these are the number of x, and these two numbers are nothing else but the numbers which belongs to y. If you see, these are the numbers which belongs to y, right? So dx means delete x. So simply what you have to do is, from your mind, delete this x numbers, the numbers which belongs to x. So what is remaining with you? 3 and 5. Doesn't this look a bit weird, because there is nothing over here, right? So what to write over here? You deleted the values of x. So what should I write over here? So the answer is, you have to write these values that is on the right hand side of the equation, that is 4 and 8. So once this is done, then what you have to do is simply equals to, do the same thing. 5 4s are 20, 8 3s are 24, and do a subtraction. So it will give you the value as 4, minus 4 rather, because 20 minus 24, right? So minus 4. And finally dy, you might have assumed what to do now. Go back to your d and ask like, dy means delete y. Who are the numbers belonging to y? This, right? So now this time you have to delete this from your mind. So if you delete this, what is remaining with you? 4 and 6. Just copy the same 4 and 6 over here. Now again the same problem, this side is empty. So what should I write over here? I should write the values in the right hand side of the equation, that is 4 and 8. Okay. Now let's proceed ahead. Let's multiply this over here. 8 4s are 32, 32, and 6 4s are 24. So 32 minus 24 is 8. I will just write 8. Remember, this is not the end of the solution, because still now we don't have the value of x and y. But now if you see, with a very simple two-step process, you will get the value of x and y. So in order to get the value of x, simply what you have to do is, you have to divide dx by d. So what do we mean by that? dx is over here. What is the value of dx? It is minus 4. And what is d? d is over here, it is 2. And cancellation is possible in this scenario. So 2 1s are 2 2s are. So what we are left with is 2 with a negative sign. Simple as that. Now in order to find the value of y, what should we do? Correct? dx we used for x. So for y we will use dy. And divide by what? Divide by d. So dy. What is dy? dy is over here 8. And what is d? We used earlier, right? d is 2. Now also cancellation is possible. Let's cancel them off. 2 1s are 2, 4s are 8. So the value is 4. And hence we have the value of x and y. X is minus 2 and y is 4. And this is the way how you can solve linear equations using Cramer's rule.